This is Dave Helling with the Kansas City Star with an analysis of the South Carolina debate among 7 Republican candidates for president on Thursday evening. First, a note about this debate and others like it. I thought this was the poorest of all the debates that we've watched this year between both Republican and Democratic candidates, and there's a particular reason why. Whenever you have a debate involving primary opponents, that is, all of the opponents are of the same political party, it's true that they generally agree on almost everything, at least in the broad picture. And so what you often get in debates like that, or debates like this, is wild disagreements about very minuscule differences between the candidates, among the candidates, and I think you saw some version of that Thursday night in South Carolina. For example, all of the candidates competed to see who could call Barack Obama the worst name, never really mentioning that he's not on the ballot in 2016, and really trying to use Obama as a way to establish their own bona fides with Republican voters rather than to elucidate, if you will, differences between them and other candidates on the stage. You just didn't see that, so I'm not sure it was as valuable as it might have been otherwise. Having said that, let's take a look at the grades for the 7 candidates on the stage. I gave John Kasich of Ohio a C+ for his effort. Of all the candidates Thursday night, he seemed the one who seemed most intent on addressing his message to blue-collar workers and to those on the lower end of the income scale. I think that's a good, interesting approach to voters in the Republican primary. I think blue-collar voters may find some agreement with Republicans on social issues, but distrust them on economic issues, and I think Kasich was making a play to those voters, so I think he was a bit above average. Christie, I thought, had the best night of all of the candidates. He seemed the most organized. His answers made the most sort of coherent sense. He was able to attack some of the other candidates without seeming too aggressive. I thought in the last half hour he faded a little bit, but by and large, he was the one that was most coherent in terms of his answers, so I gave him a B. By the way, none of the candidates on the stage last night bothered to actually answer many of the questions that were posed to them. Marco Rubio, I gave a C- because I think he seemed a little too concerned about how he was being interpreted by the audience and by potential voters. He seemed more active and at times almost antic in his responses. Sometimes he got trapped in the minutia of the Senate as well. I just thought he was a little bit below average. Donald Trump was a C. Donald Trump is what he is. People either like him or don't. He was no different Thursday night than he's been in other debates, so he was average. He was Donald Trump. Take him or leave him. Ted Cruz, I also gave a C. He too got immersed at times in the minutia of being a United States senator, and he went on some long rants about what bills did and didn't do. That's almost guaranteed to lose the voter on occasion. He had the best summation when he talked about police and the military, so I thought he was average, about the same as Donald Trump. Ben Carson was a D. He didn't make much of a difference in this debate. I think he's fading a little bit. He did make the case for getting along a little bit better, and that's an important point that needs to be made. Barack Obama and Nikki Haley of South Carolina made it this week, but it didn't seem very forceful coming from Dr. Carson. And then finally, Jeb Bush got a C. He was pretty aggressive against Donald Trump, as he needs to be. But you don't get the sense that he stuck out in the debate, and that's really one of the most important things that Jeb Bush needed to do to sort of disrupt the momentum of Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, and I don't think he really accomplished that, so his effort was average in my view. That's how I saw the Republican debate. The Iowa caucuses kicked this whole thing off February 1st. I'm headed that way on Sunday. We'll see you there.